G'day, Harry Houdini here in Australia, and I'm back with something a little bit unusual this time. Now, I go down to the Riverside Model Club in Brisbane because they're a nice bunch of guys, and I met them at the QMBE, and they said, join my club. And I said, well, I'm up on the Sunshine Coast, you know, I live up the mountains, I'm a bloody, hermit. They said, no, it's okay. We've got people all over the world. You're welcome. So I joined the club, and I go down every month, and they're a great bunch of guys. Now, they had well, every year they have a sort of a club build. And I came in a bit late, but they said, look, here's a free aeroplane. Well, actually, it was in the kit, right? And it came in a plastic bag, there's no box. And they said, here's a free aeroplane, build this, join in to our annual build, see what you can do. So I haven't had a lot of time, I've only had really a couple of months to work on it, and I've been distracted by other things, as you know. It's one I've never heard of, AMtech. Now, it's a Warhawk, as far as I can tell, P-40E, not a subject I've built before, nothing I know about. I've had to do a lot of research, and there is Australian versions of this. They flew them out of various places, but I'm going to do the one that was flown out of Port Moresby. So this is my little muddy Pacific one. I'll come to that in a sec. Now, this kit, it's shit. Sorry, I have never built anything that required so much filler, so much cleaning up, so much sanding, so much realigning, and so many just frustrating. And that's another reason why I haven't got a lot of it done, because it's crap. Well, I don't know. Look, maybe I was sport with the Airfix Skyhawk that just went together beautifully, and maybe the kind of kits that I build with the AFV and the battleships that I've done, they've all been more modern kits and really nicely made, but this is dreadful. Parts were warped, covered in flash, angles are wrong, everything had to be reshaped and refiled. I really needed a year to do this justice. So I realised I wasn't going to get a brilliant finish out of this. And as hard as I don't know if you can even see how much bloody filler there is in this thing. Do you see there's filler everywhere? It's that filler queen. There's filler all over this bloody thing, right? It's just, I don't know if it shows up. But I have been through a ton of CA glue and Mr. Servicer trying to get this thing smooth and reshaped, and it's just not happening. And I think I'd need a lot more time, a lot more patience to get this perfect. So, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be a bit rough. It's going to have a few panel line issues and the rest of it. So I did my research. As I said, the Australian version of this flew out of Port Moresby, and the photos of the ones I've seen show they're pretty dirty, pretty battle weary, and worn and banged up. Perfect. So if I can make mine dirty, worn, muddy, banged up a bit, it's pretty well representative of the kind of craft that flew out of there. It's an Australian one. I mean, I could make an American version, there's a few in the kit. We have to stick to the kit. You can't put any aftermarket parts, can't use any other decals, you've got to build only what's in the kit. And there are some paint schemes there, but none of them for the Australian version, but the Australian decals are in there. So bugger it, I'm going to make the Australian one. It's available in the kit, I'm going to do it. And mine's going to be pretty battered and buggered up. That's an experiment. Here's the aircraft as she looks nicely painted up at the Australian War Memorial. Now that's too pretty for what I'm going to do. It will be those colours and that livery, but I'm going to make sure she's a bit battered and rusted and dirty and grimy and muddy as she would have been flying out of Port Moresby. So that's the plan. So we're going to do a little fade to black now. We'll come back with the progress. And I'll basically, just in this one video, jump through and show you what kind of an almighty mess I'm going to make of this. Cross fingers. We'll have something anyway. It's going to be fun. And that's what this hobby is all about for me. Well, we've had some success. There you go. She has got a coat of green on her. And really impressed with that. That's the Tamiya paint, and just thinned with their alcohol-based butanol, I think it is, thinners. And it comes up a treat. It goes on so smooth. And it's quite a revelation, because I had not been a big fan of Tamiya paints. I had them because that's all I used to be able to get. I used the rattle cans, which I did like, But the stuff in the tins, hand brushing it, used to have to use a ton of retarder just to bloody get it to do anything, and then it was, it was never easy to work with. But this is good. Finally, I am happy using my new airbrush, and I'm getting a result that I'm really pleased with. So there's some success out of all this. Even though it is a big learning curve doing aeroplanes, that's okay. I'm pushing myself and I'm learning new stuff, and that's what this hobby's all about, really. Go on the extra mile, seeing what you can do, seeing if you can improve yourself. Well, hopefully I am. Anyhow, I'm amazed at how that's covered, and even where the filler is, and all the problems I had with this, they seem to have now miraculously disappeared. And that's looking, at least to my wonky eyes, that's looking really good. All that sanding and everything has paid off. So I may yet have a reasonable looking aeroplane at the end of this. Who knows? Well, here we are. It's a few days later, and I have painted the bottom blue and painted the top green. That's all been done, and I've just masked that up. And underneath here is the canopy mask. What an effort that was. Here's a photo. It took me about 3 hours to do that mask. I chose to do it manually just to see if I could do it. Did a lot of research, read a number of things online, and then I followed the methods as best I could. Now, I'm pretty happy with that, and later on when you see me reveal the result, it actually worked. Anyhow, following on, what I've got now is the camouflage scheme. Now, the plans here, as close to an Aussie one as I can figure, are for this sort of camo scheme. So I have worked that out on paper, and I stenciled out on a piece of paper the wingspan, and then drew in the camo lines, and then I've cut them out with paper. And then what I've done here is I'll break one up so that you can see what's going on. There's it's not glued down or taped down flat. It's actually raised slightly off the surface. Now there is a method to this madness, apparently. So all I did was I took tiny bits of Tamiya tape, and then put away my doodad, and then I found something to roll them on, and I rolled, I only did this so they'd be consistent, is I rolled little tubes, and each of those tubes then went underneath, which just raises those pieces of paper just off. You see? So it's not flush. Now apparently this is a better way to paint your camo and mask, that as long as I stay sort of perpendicular when I'm spraying with the airbrush, is I should get a nice crisp edge, and there won't be bleed and there won't be smear, and I haven't had to wrap tape all over this thing. This was a lot faster. It still took me an hour to basically work out all the little camo lines and then roll the bits of tape up and put it on. But hopefully this is going to then spray on fairly easily and give me a nice camo pattern. Let's see. And as you can hear, the compressor's kicked in there, and I've mixed up my brown. I'm ready to try this little area here. So let's see how we go. Well, there's a light coat of that on there. We'll just have a quick sneak. Well, there you go. It produces a nice line. It's not ultra sharp, but it's sort of got a little bit of a sort of a fuzzy edge. Thank goodness the compressor's kicked off. So I'll keep going and give this a try. It seems to be doing something. Staying perpendicular as per the instructions, and getting myself a nice even coat of this brown. I've thinned this quite a lot so that it's a very gentle coat, and so let's have another sneak peek. Oh yeah, that's working. There's a bit more paint on that one. That's working. Does the trick. Alright, I'll keep going with this and get the whole thing done up, and then I'll pull off all the masking, including what I've done on the canopy, and we'll see if it's worked. I've got the brown on there, and the masks seem to be doing their thing. This is the moment of truth. Hopefully I've got brown everywhere I need it, and let's see what happens when I take these little masks off. Oh, it looks quite nice. That looks quite good. So it's not like a hard edge that you'd get like when I did the Skoda. It's got a little bit of feathering in it. It's rather nice. It's obviously airbrushed, so it's an effect you wouldn't get unless you were using something like the airbrush. So there we go. That's rather nice. I think it's worked. I think it's worked. Let's press on. See what else we can rip off here. Yep, that's all come off good. It's all painted on nicely. Of course, the trick will be when I take off the bottom part of the masking, especially that canopy. That is going to be. That is where all the hours of work to mask up that. That's where we're going to see did that work. Oh no, I've got a bit of overspray in there, but I think there's a bit of overspray in there. That's probably just me not getting the angle right. So that's where I've mucked up. After a little bit of touching up, I made some masks just to get rid of that overspray, and I masked out the brown this time. I just sprayed a little bit of green in, and that seems to fix that. And each time I've tried this technique, it's come up a little better. Now, that's my canopy. I'm really chuffed with that. It used that pledge, like future sort of stuff, to get a bit of a shine, and my own manual mask on that, just putting the tape on, and it's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. You can see inside. I'm amazed with that. You can actually see inside and see what's going on in there. At least I can. I don't know what you can see in video land. But there you go. That floating paper mask technique does have its merits, and I've had some success. So I'm going to press on now and start weathering, washing, and generally messing and muddying this up to get the effects I want. G'day fellow modelers. Well, it's been a week now since I started on the painting of this P-40E. Now, it took me about a month or so to assemble it, as I said in the beginning, and I got very frustrated with the kit because it just didn't go together as well as I've expected, and it didn't have the quality that I'm kind of used to in the things that I've been building lately. So I kind of didn't like it much. But now that I've used my particular theme in the paint, well, I got this. It's going to be a bit hard to... here we go. Can you see what I did? Well, I know it's got a kangaroo on it and it's facing the right way this time. But if you have a look at the cabin there, she's a bit shot up. What do you think of those? Bullet holes. Look, I'll put some photos at the end of this so you can really see what I've done. But, yep, I drew it out a whole ton of holes, and then I put a whole lot of special effects in there, and she is shot up. And the decals are a bit scratched and wrecked, and that kind of happened naturally, because when I put them on, a lot of them tore. So, really, again, not happy with this kit. And underneath, she's a bit muddy. She's a bit dirty. Yes, she's a dirty little bitch. But... there you go, and I'm pretty happy with my engine exhausts. They're, I don't know if you can see them there. You'll see it in photos at the end. I did quite a bit of work on those to sort of give them a bit of a dirtied kind of burnish sort of look. And the canopy, oh look, I'm so impressed with my own work. Well, I'm so happy the way that turned out because, I was really sort of stressing about masking that out and then pledging it up. Now, pledge, which is future, that we can get here down in Oz. Well, I did this slightly differently. Not unusual for me. I used this. Shock! Horror! Yes, there'll be complaints. This is a spray-on furniture device, right? Aerosol. Now, I saw this at the supermarket because I haven't been able to get pledge in anything other than the wood. The wood floor stuff, and I tried that on the Skyhawk, gave it a little bit of a yellowish tinge, didn't quite give the effect. But then again, I also got a lot of dust in the canopy on that. This one I was very careful to make sure there wasn't dust on the canopy and on the the see-through parts, but I sprayed it with this sucker and then I let it sit overnight, and then as they suggested, I wiped it off and I buffed it, and my canopy came up nice and shiny. And I'll have some photos on here shortly to show you the whole build process of what I went through and the various stages. So take a look. I really like those letters at the end there, because to my sort of dirty mind, that spells fook. So some of you might think I have fooked this kit. And, you know, it's not the purest way of doing these sort of aircraft. Although, is there a purist? I mean, who cares? It's my model, and I wanted to explore some extreme weathering on an aircraft. And because I wasn't happy with the fit and finish on this one, it seemed like a natural way to sort of disguise the problems and see where I could go with it. But I learned a lot along the way, and that's what I like to do with my model building, is try something different, try a new technique and see where it takes me and see if I've got some use for it, and then I can file that away in my little arsenal of tricks and things that I can do, you know, another arrow in my quiver, so to speak. So there she is. That's my little fook. And despite the fact that it started out, I was very unhappy with the kit, and you know, the build process was not fun. And I'm really into the build. I like the build. The painting is something I do, and I don't mind the painting, but it's not exactly my my favourite part. Although, you know, I'm sort of learning things and doing stuff. But anyhow, build, can't recommend this as a kit to build. It requires too much filler. If you can buy the kit, you're going to buy a box of filler. But you can get a result, and some of the other modelers at Riverside Models Club, well, they've built some really nice versions, and I might show you some photos of what they've done next time. And some of those guys are really good modelers, and they've obviously got a lot more experience with aircraft than I have, and some of their stuff's come up a treat. More of that later. That's my little fook, or you know, FOK, OKF. And there are things about this I like. I like the canopy, I like the way that turned out, I love my bullet holes. I just love my bullet holes. You see them? I really love those. So that was good. And she's got a kangaroo on her. So that's it. That's my little episode about building a P-40E. Now, no doubt there'll be a lot of criticism, and a lot of you guys might not like what I've done. Oh, that's all right. Comment, complain, abuse, don't care. Interact, it'll be fine. This is what I wanted to do, and that's my result. We'll see what happens when I take it down tomorrow to the Riverside Modelers Club for the annual group build get-together. Anyhow, that's enough for now. So it's goodbye from Australia, and it's hooroo from Harry Houdini.